The Buddha sat under the ancient Bodhi tree, its shade offering solace to those seeking guidance. His disciples gathered in silence, hearts open to wisdom. A young monk approached, burdened by sorrow for the suffering he witnessed. "Master," the monk began, "how can compassion flourish amidst overwhelming despair?" The Buddha gazed at him, his eyes calm as the still waters of the Ganges. "Compassion arises from understanding, my child, not from ignorance." He paused, letting the breeze carry his words to every corner of their sanctuary. In the forest, Buddha continued, trees share sunlight without envy. Roots exchange nourishment to sustain the life around them. The monk listened, his curiosity deepening as he absorbed the analogy. Buddha extended his hand, revealing a small handful of grain. A farmer shares his harvest, not fearing loss, but celebrating the unity it creates, he said. Another disciple, a merchant, joined the conversation, troubled by greed clouding his dealings. "Master," the merchant asked, "how does one cultivate compassion when others thrive on exploitation?" Buddha pointed to the passing bird overhead, carrying a twig in its beak. Even the bird builds a nest for its offspring. Not hoarding, but giving purposefully, he explained. Compassion, he taught, was not limited by circumstances but strengthened by intention. The bodhisattva who offered water to parched strangers inspired life beyond his own fields. Boundaries, Buddha said. His voice carried the tale of the bodhisattva, whose barren lands transformed into fertile ground through acts of selfless giving. The breath anchors the restless mind, much like roots anchor a towering tree. Closing his eyes, the Buddha inhaled deeply, his chest rising like a gentle wave. "The lotus grows amidst mud," he said, its beauty nourished by humility and connection to its surroundings. Another disciple spoke, questioning the balance between compassion for others and care for oneself. The disciples followed his example, their breaths aligning with his. The rustle of leaves became their rhythm, the chirping birds their melody. Disciples nodded, their questions answered, their spirits lifted by the teaching of shared growth. The Buddha addressed their collective unease, understanding that fear often hindered acts of kindness. "Fear of scarcity blinds us to the abundance within our connections," he said. "But compassion opens the gates to mutual prosperity." His words carried weight beyond the sanctuary, resonating with the birds, the trees, and the earth itself. Buddha told them of a farmer who planted seeds despite uncertainty, trusting the rains would arrive in due time. Trust sustains compassion, even amidst the unknown, Buddha declared, his hands gesturing to the flowing river nearby. True wisdom lies in simplicity. One disciple, young and restless, spoke up. Buddha shared the tale of a monk who offered shelter to strangers during a storm. Despite his own meager provisions, the storm passed, leaving the monk's soul enriched by the gratitude he received from those he helped. "In giving, we receive more than we ever imagined," Buddha concluded, his voice steady as the earth beneath them. The young monk felt his sorrow transform into resolve, inspired by the teachings rooted in compassion. "Exactly," the Buddha said, his voice resonating like a temple bell. "Thoughts, like wind, come and go." The teachings echoed long after, spreading like ripples in the pond, nourishing those who encountered them. Buddha's words became seeds of change, fostering harmony and interconnectedness in the hearts they touched. Compassion, he taught, flourished through understanding, trust, and shared growth. Disciples carried the lessons into their lives, transforming their communities through acts of kindness. Buddha watched them depart, knowing the world would change through their actions, rooted in his timeless wisdom. Another day, the Buddha sat by the tranquil banks of the Rahini River, the waters glimmering under the midday sun. His disciples gathered, drawn by the serene environment and the wisdom they sought to absorb. A fisherman approached, his face lined with worry, burdened by thoughts of the river's diminishing fish. "Blessed One," he said, "how can we live sustainably without depleting the gifts of nature?" The Buddha gazed at the flowing river, its currents steady and unyielding, and then spoke with quiet clarity. "The river thrives because it nurtures all who depend on it, yet it does not hoard its bounty." The disciples listened intently, their eyes following the rhythm of the water as it carried twigs and leaves. "We are all part of the same stream, interconnected, and our actions ripple far beyond what we can see," he continued. The Buddha recounted the story of a village that had once flourished by caring for its rivers. Purity. When greed polluted the waters, the harmony shattered, and the people suffered as much as the fish, he explained. A merchant among the disciples, troubled by the unethical practices of his trade, raised his voice to ask a question. "Master, how do we act mindfully when others prioritize profit over integrity?" he inquired, his tone weighted with unease. Buddha pointed to a tree whose roots reached deep into the riverbank, holding the soil against erosion. "Like this tree, act with purpose, ensuring your roots nourish the earth rather than drain its vitality," he replied. A farmer joined the conversation, speaking of his struggle with neighbors exploiting shared irrigation channels for selfish gain. "Master," the farmer said, "how can I promote fairness when conflict arises over shared resources?" The Buddha turned his gaze to the river, where fish swam in synchrony, respecting each other's space and movement. "The fish teach us that coexistence depends on mutual respect, not dominance or selfishness," he said. The Buddha shared the parable of a landowner who sacrificed his wealth to ensure equitable water distribution in his village. His sacrifice built trust and strengthened the bonds between neighbors, creating harmony beyond material gain, Buddha concluded. His words stirred the hearts of his disciples, prompting deep reflections on their roles in the greater web of existence. The young monk spoke next, his voice trembling with curiosity and reverence. "Master," he asked, "how do we awaken others to their interconnectedness with all living beings?" Buddha smiled, his expression serene as the ripples that spread across the river's surface. "Awakening begins with actions, not words, for it is through our deeds that others see the possibilities of harmony," he said. The Buddha described how a shepherd once shared his meager supplies with passing travelers, teaching them generosity without uttering a single command. "By acting mindfully, we inspire others to see their reflection in the faces of those around them," he said. The disciples nodded, each internalizing the lesson in their unique way, their understanding expanding like concentric circles in a pond. The Buddha turned to the river's edge, where reeds swayed gently with the currents. Even the reeds adapt to the river's flow, finding strength in flexibility and unity with the waters, he said. He spoke of a storm that once threatened to uproot a grove of trees. Yet the reeds survived by bending gracefully. Strength lies not in resistance but in our ability to adapt while remaining connected to one another, Buddha explained. A scholar, skeptical yet eager to learn, posed his question about reconciling personal ambitions with the collective good. "Master, can individual success align with the well-being of all? Or must one sacrifice the other?" he asked. Buddha gestured toward the sunlit river, its surface reflecting the sky yet nourishing unseen life below. "True success uplifts others, enriching the collective while fulfilling personal purpose," he said, his voice calm and unwavering. He shared the story of a potter who prospered by creating vessels that served his community's needs. Blending artistry with practicality, the potter's creations strengthened bonds and elevated lives, demonstrating that prosperity blooms where selflessness and ambition unite, Buddha concluded. The disciples felt the weight of his wisdom, their hearts swelling with a commitment to live with mindfulness. The Buddha closed his teachings with a simple yet profound observation of the river's ceaseless flow. Life, like the river, continues in cycles, each moment an opportunity to nurture the balance we share, he said. His words lingered in the air, resonating with the rustling leaves, the murmuring waters, and the souls of his listeners. The disciples departed, their footsteps light yet purposeful, eager to integrate the teachings into their lives and communities. The river bore witness to their resolve, its currents carrying not only water but also the seeds of awakened minds. The Buddha remained seated, his eyes following the river's path as it disappeared into the horizon. He knew that his teachings, like the river, would flow endlessly, sustaining life and harmony wherever they reached. Another day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the Buddha sat surrounded by disciples in the quiet forest grove. The air hummed with serenity as shadows stretched across the earth, mirroring the impermanence of each fleeting moment. A young monk approached, his eyes clouded with concern, carrying the weight of fear born from constant change. "Master," the monk began softly, "how do we hold on to peace when everything we cherish inevitably slips away?" The Buddha looked toward the withering lotus, its petals scattered on the soil, embodying the truth of impermanence. "Observe the lotus," Buddha said, his voice calm as twilight. "Though it fades, it nourishes the earth, enabling new growth." The disciples turned their gaze to the lotus, reflecting on its beauty that persisted in the form of renewal. Buddha spoke again, sharing the story of a prince who lost his kingdom but found enlightenment on his journey. The prince learned that loss is not an end, but the beginning of transformation and understanding, Buddha recounted. The monk listened, his fear easing as he understood the necessity of embracing change rather than resisting it. Another disciple stepped forward, troubled by the impermanence of success and the fleeting nature of worldly achievements. "Master," he asked, "how do we find meaning in accomplishments that time washes away?" Buddha smiled gently, his expression ageless like the eternal truths he imparted. "True meaning lies in the impact of your actions, not in the permanence of recognition," Buddha explained patiently. He recounted the tale of an artisan who crafted vessels that sustained the needs of others. Lasting through their gratitude, the vessels may break, yet the kindness they represent endures, Buddha said, his words weaving wisdom into the hearts of his disciples. As the forest grew darker, a merchant joined the dialogue, burdened by uncertainty in an ever-changing market. "Master," the merchant began, "how do we remain steady when the world fluctuates like shadows under the moonlight?" Buddha pointed to the stars emerging above, constant yet distant, anchoring the night despite its shifting canvas. "Steadiness comes from adapting to impermanence while holding to values that anchor you through the tides of change," he replied. Buddha shared the story of a fisherman who adjusted his nets and practices, ensuring harmony with the ocean's cycles. Through adaptation, the fisherman found sustainability and peace, thriving amidst the unpredictable waves, Buddha concluded. Each disciple sat in thoughtful silence, internalizing the teachings that embraced impermanence as the essence of life itself. Buddha observed their growing understanding, sensing the seeds of transformation sprouting within their hearts. The young monk asked, his voice imbued with curiosity, "Master, is impermanence a curse, or can it be a blessing?" Buddha chuckled softly, pointing to the flickering fireflies illuminating the darkness around them. "Impermanence is the dance of existence. Without it, there is neither growth nor renewal," Buddha replied. He shared the story of a wandering healer who sought wisdom from impermanence, learning to cherish moments without clinging to them. The healer's gratitude for fleeting moments enriched his journey, making impermanence his guide rather than his enemy, Buddha said. A scholar among the disciples spoke next, intrigued by the philosophical depth of impermanence and its practical application. Master, the scholar asked, how can we teach others to embrace impermanence without causing fear or despair? Buddha gazed at the moon, now casting its gentle glow across the grove, and then turned back to his disciples. Teach by example, showing that acceptance of impermanence leads to peace, not loss, but transformation, Buddha advised. The Buddha shared the tale of a mother who taught her children to honor the cycles of seasons. Celebrating each moment, through her example, her children understood that impermanence was the rhythm of existence, not an adversary to be feared, Buddha said. The disciples felt the depth of his wisdom, their questions answered, their hearts renewed with clarity. The Buddha extended his teaching with an observation of the forest itself, where decay nurtured life and growth flourished. See how the fallen leaves enrich the soil. Without impermanence, there would be no rebirth, no evolution, Buddha noted. A disciple reflected on her struggles with attachment, asking Buddha how to let go without diminishing love. Master, she said, how can we love deeply without clinging to what we fear to lose? Buddha met her gaze, his eyes filled with compassion as he spoke with the certainty of ancient truths. To love deeply is to honor impermanence, for in its fleeting nature lies the value of each moment shared, he explained. Buddha described the story of a friend who honored their bonds through acceptance of impermanence. Cherishing each encounter without grasping, their friendship deepened through impermanence. Transcending time through appreciation rather than attachment, Buddha said. The disciples marveled at the beauty of Buddha's teachings, feeling their minds expand with understanding. As the night deepened, the Buddha concluded his discourse with a reflection on the timeless wisdom of impermanence. Impermanence is the thread that weaves the fabric of life, connecting every beginning to its inevitable conclusion, Buddha said. The grove grew still, the disciples silent as they absorbed the essence of his teachings on change and renewal. The Buddha watched them with quiet satisfaction, knowing his words would carry through their lives like the flowing river nearby. Disciples departed, their steps purposeful, their spirits enriched with newfound strength to embrace life's ever-changing journey. The grove remained peaceful, the moonlight casting gentle shadows that mirrored the impermanence of the moment. Buddha sat alone, his heart steady with the knowledge that his teachings would endure through the cycles of existence. He reflected on the impermanence of his own journey, knowing its significance lay in the transformations it inspired. The wisdom of impermanence echoed through the forest, a timeless truth carried by the wind to all who listened. His voice was calm yet carried the weight of ancient truth, resonating deeply with all who heard. A young disciple named Sudatta stepped forward, his expression both curious and troubled. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.